to give you that lovely little, hey, do you choose to stay while we record today? All right, everyone, thank you so much. Welcome. Today is May 6th, 2022. We are so excited for today's Lunch and Learn, and we really appreciate everybody joining us today. Can someone give me a thumbs up to let me know you can see my screen okay? Thanks so much, I appreciate it. All right, well, we might have a couple more people join us and I'll let them in as they do here. But for now, thanks so much, everyone. We appreciate having you here. Today's topic is Connecting You and Northern Colorado, RideNoCo, a program of North Front Range Metropolitan Planning Organization. And we are so happy to have them joining us today here at PAFC. Okay, right off the bat, I'm starting with the quiz. You don't have to answer out loud. You can raise your hands if you'd like. Quiz time. Do you like to get out of the house? Do you have errands to run? Do you have appointments in your community? Do you enjoy seeing family and friends? I am sure that we can all answer yes to at least one of these. So we all have something in common, and that is we need transportation resources. And thankfully, we are trying to help make those transportation resources possible. I want to let you know a little bit about what we're doing here at PAFC to help. We are helping to connect community members with the resources that Larimer County offers. We know there's a lot of resources out there, and we want to help make sure you are connected to all of them. That's a big part of what we're going to be talking about today. We are also working hard to incubate programs and resources that will help you thrive and flourish as you age. And we are creating opportunities such as this Lunch and Learn today for information to be shared with community members in a place where your questions can really be answered. And we'll have some time today as well at the end to get any questions answered that you might have about today's topic. We could not do this without our mission sponsor, the Bank of Colorado. So we want to say thank you so much to the Bank of Colorado for their mission sponsorship of PAFC. We are very appreciative to them. Okay, who's here today? I am very excited to share with you that today we have Corey Schmidt, the mobility manager from the North Front Range Metropolitan Planning Organization. That is such a mouthful to say. I'm a little bit proud of myself every time I say it without stumbling over a word or two in there. And we also have Hannah Johnson, the mobility coordinator from the North Front Range Metropolitan Planning Organization, also known as NFRMPO. And I'm going to hand it over to the two of them so that they can talk all about the wonderful work they are doing and RideNoCo. So I'm going to stop sharing. And Hannah, if you are wanting to share, you should be able to. So go ahead and go for it. The floor is yours.
Great. Can you all hear me and see my screen?
We sure
Great.
can.
So thanks for the introduction, Carrie. I also want to give Corey the chance to introduce himself if he would like before I jump into our presentation. Corey, would you like to do that?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to Carrie and Lori and PAFC for inviting us to speak at this Lunch and Learn today, and also the support from the Mobility and Access Priority Group over the last many years to really highlight the need for more transportation resources for older adults in Larimer County. Those efforts really paved the way for Hannah and I both to have jobs and to be here in front of you all today. So don't want to take up too much of the time, but again, thank you for the invitation and all the support over the years.
Thanks, Corey. So as it has been mentioned, my name is Hannah Johnson. I am the mobility coordinator with the NFRMPO. And today I'm going to talk about RideNoCo, as well as just the NFRMPO's mobility program as a whole. So just to jump in, because obviously the North Front Range Metropolitan Planning Organization, that's a long name that probably not everyone here has heard of. We are the regional transportation planning agency for the communities you see here on the map. That includes Fort Collins, Loveland, Berthoud, as well as Windsor, Greeley, Evans, Johnstown, Milliken, etc. We're serving a pretty large and growing region. And the mobility program that Corey and I work on actually goes beyond these
This looks okay, doesn't it?
that you're seeing, and serves all of Larimer and Weld counties, including the more rural portions. So the RideNoCo, which is the branding for our mobility program, really has the mission and vision to connect you in Northern Colorado, which embodies the two overarching goals of our program. First is to improve the individual mobility for particularly older adults, people with disabilities, lower income people, and people who might not speak English as a first language, as well as improving regional mobility through enhanced coordination and collaboration among our regional public and private transportation providers, particularly in rural portions of Larimer and Weld counties where a lot of mobility gaps might exist. I really see RideNoCo and the NFR-MPO mobility program as a regional hub to discuss mobility needs across disciplines and boundaries. So we work with a lot of partners. We work with funders like CDOT, as well as local governments, human service, healthcare service providers, nonprofits, as well as our transportation providers like public transit providers, commercial transportation providers, and volunteer transportation providers to try to improve mobility across our entire region as we are growing and changing. Our mobility program has, I kind of categorize it into like 4 big key functions. The first is RideNoCo, which is our one call, one click center. I'm going to go in more depth on RideNoCo here in just a second, but essentially that's an information hub where you can discover all of the transportation providers here in our Northern Colorado region. We have a website and a call center, and then we use the information that we gain by answering phones and working with our partners to improve our transportation planning processes and collect data. Second, we convene 2 mobility committees, as well as we work with PAFC to have the mobility and access priority group. So the Weld County Mobility Committee and the Larimer County Mobility Committee meet every other month, and they really act as a platform to coordinate transportation providers and human service providers to troubleshoot mobility gaps. A key function of the NFR-MPO is transportation planning, and we definitely take a part in that process. In 2021, we updated our coordinated human service transportation public transit plan, and we also give feedback to other NFR-MPO transportation planning processes to really consider the needs of mobility perspectives like older adults, people with disabilities. And then the last thing we do is we provide technical assistance to our partners so that they can access state and federal funding. An example of this is we work with Envision, which is the community center board in Weld County, to help fund their transportation program for their clients. And again, like I said, we have 2 mobility committees. They meet every other month to talk about mobility issues. So if this is something you're interested in, please let Corey and I know, and we'd be happy to loop you into our Larimer County Mobility Committee. The chairs for the LCMC are Ruth Fletcher Carter with the Berthoud Rural Alternative for Transportation, RAFT, and Connie Nelson Cleverly with St. Volunteer Transportation. So our RideNoCo call center operates Monday through Friday during, I would say, like normal business hours, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. It is Corey and I that answer the phones. So you can talk to us directly, and we walk through either the person's direct transportation needs, or if it's you're asking for like a client you're working with. Because it's just us, we try to always give a call back within 1 business day if we're not able to answer the phone because we're in a meeting like this. But yeah, here's the phone number, and I'll drop the phone number in the chat at the end of the presentation as well. Like I said, we also have a website. Here at the end of the presentation, I'm actually going to do a demo of both accessing the website on your computer, as well as looking at the website on your phone and adding a way to easily get to the website on your phone when and if you need it. So this is just the first phase of RideNoCo, which is really exciting. We have launched our website and call center since about the middle of last fall. It's really just an introduction to RideNoCo, and it just acts as a central hub to find all of the transportation options in our region. We are currently working on phase 2 of RideNoCo, which is a trip discovery tool. We're anticipating this tool should be released at the end of the summer or early fall. Essentially, it'll provide the ability to find and plan trips on public transit and human service providers in the region. The way that this will look a little bit different than looking at like a Google Maps, for example, is currently Google Maps only shows public transit providers, car, walking, and biking, whereas this goes a little bit further and it will say, oh, you're within Saints service area. Are you over the age of 55? Because you might be qualified for their services. So it just takes a little bit of an extra step to show more of the options that exist. And then the last phase, which we anticipate being done in 2023, is trip dispatching. So essentially the vision is to find, plan, and book a ride in one place across multiple providers. And hopefully it will provide some flexibility for transportation providers to schedule rides across different agencies. So we're just trying to increase the coordination among our transportation providers. And throughout this entire process, we are doing ongoing data collection to identify where mobility needs are being met and where gaps remain so that we can increase the mobility options here in our region. Here on this slide, I just want to show y'all that there are a variety of transportation providers here in Northern Colorado. And really the benefit of RideNoCo is that instead of knowing all of these agencies and all of their service requirements and trying to navigate that on your own, RideNoCo, you can call us. We work with these partners all the time and we are very aware of what they can and can't do. And so we can give you a little bit more insight of what might be the best transportation to meet your or your client's needs. And I also just want to say that we are very aware that here in Northern Colorado, there continue to be some mobility gaps. So we know that transportation affordability in rural areas can limit people's mobility outcomes. Getting between communities can be difficult. There's a general lack of awareness of the existing services, and driver shortages are affecting both volunteer and paid providers. So with that in mind, we are working with our partners to utilize these strategies of coordination, education, collaboration, infrastructure and funding, and non-mobility improvements to hopefully make mobility better in our region over time. And the last thing that I just want to note before I jump into the demo of the website is that there's always opportunities for collaboration. So whether that's just you as an individual or if you work for an agency, I would be happy to drop off rider's guides. We have them in both English and Spanish. And these are just like little, I have one right here, little brochures that just go over what existing transportation providers there are, and then it can direct you to our website and call center to make sure folks can get their questions answered about transportation. So if you're interested in getting some rider's guides, please put your email in the chat and we'll coordinate a drop off. Also, if you work in an agency, I would be happy to coordinate with your administrative staff or your customer facing representatives to present information so that they know how to direct clients to mobility resources. We really want to be a resource for your clients. And then if you're really passionate about mobility outcomes, I would encourage you to either get involved with the NFR MPO's mobility committees, or PAFC has a mobility and access priority group, which we call MAPG, that also meets every other month for about an hour and a half. Our next meeting is June 2nd at 10 a.m. We are doing a walk audit, so to hopefully make the Foothills Mall a little bit more walkable for older adults. So yeah, before I jump into the website demo, I wanted to open the floor for any questions about what I've currently talked about before I show you our website and show how you can add it to your phone. Okay, well, if anything comes up while I am showing you all the website, feel free to jump in and I'll answer your questions. But I'm going to escape from this and we're going to start just I'm using the Chrome browser as you can see, but you can use any browser to access our website. I'm just going to type in www.rideno.co. It's kind of a different URL, so yeah, I just want to make sure y'all are aware of that. So this is our landing page. It just gives you our slogan as well as just a brief introduction to what we do. It also enables people to call, know our call center hours, our phone number, as well as our email if people have questions. I also want to note a few things here at the top. So we got our website translated by a local Spanish translator, and that is here at the top. So everything on our website is available in Spanish, and it's hopefully a little bit of a better quality than a general Google Translate because it was done by a real person. So I just wanted to note that. We also have accessibility tools here at this little person in this blue square. So you can increase the text, use grayscale, high contrast, negative contrast, etc. So then I'm going to reset it. I'll do the increased text for this demo so everyone can see it well. And then as you scroll down, once we have that trip planning tool, we anticipate that'll be here on our front page. So stay tuned for that. But right now we have just a we call them generic buckets for providers that people might be immediately looking for. So we have an older adult bucket. So if you click this, it will take you to all of our providers that specifically serve older adults. We also have community options at a glance. So you can click on the community that you specifically live in. And then this just goes over a little more information about what RideNoCo is. I'm going to show y'all our Explore Providers tab, which is here at the top, because you can get very specific about what kind of providers you're looking for. So if you scroll down, we have this kind of like toggle that will let you look and pare down the existing transportation providers into specifically what you're looking for. So I'm going to try out older adults as the population served in Larimer County. And then I'm going to click search providers. And this will pare down our transportation providers to services that specifically provide rides to older adults. So we have VIA, St. Volunteer Transportation, Raft, and Heart and Soul Paratransit. To get more information about each provider, you just click this little plus button, and then it will provide all of this additional information. So I'm going to show y'all Saint. So Saint serves Fort Collins and Loveland. We have a link to their website if you want a lot more information. We have their phone number. We always let y'all know the current fares. So this is donation based, their service hours, as well as because they are run by volunteers, you have to schedule your rides in advance. So it explains that you need to schedule for the current month and the following month. And they're scheduled on a first come, first served basis. And that schedulers are available to take reservations Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. So for each of our providers, we give that information so you all know how to access those services. Yeah, so that is the website. We also have a little bit more information down here that shows like if you want some printed rider's guides, here they are. If you are looking for more mobility resources in the Denver metro area, contact this organization, or Boulder County, contact that organization, because sometimes people find our website, think that we serve Denver and we don't. So yeah, do people have any questions about the browser website before I show you all about the mobile option?
No, I have a comment. I would just say that it's very user friendly. So I really appreciate that.
Great. I'm glad to hear that. We always want perspective about, how the website works for different people, because, some things that might work for one person might not work for another. So we always are accepting feedback. And I actually just remembered, I want to show one more thing. So at the bottom of any of our pages, along with Spanish translation, we do have an automatic Google Translate for more than 100 languages. So we're really trying to be as accessible as possible, so that if folks might not speak English as a first language, they can still look at our website in Hebrew, for example. What does that say? I don't know, but somebody who knows Hebrew would. So yeah, let's go back to English. I'm going to show you all a little video of putting the RideNoCo a link on your iPhone background. So I hope that everybody can see this video. This is specifically for iPhones. I don't have an Android, so I'm not sure if Android has a similar function, but essentially I opened up my Safari app, and then I am searching the website name of RideNoCo, so www.rideno.co. I'm going to the website. And then I just want to show you all, it looks a little bit different on the mobile app, but it's just kind of condensed. So we still have that accessibility tool. We still have the community options at a glance in those buckets. Once the trip discovery tool is ready, it'll also be on the mobile app. And then I'm going to click on these like lines here. That's going to show you the entire menu for the whole website. In here, that's where you can also translate the whole website in that local translation of Spanish. I'm about to go to this Explore Providers tab. And then just like I did on the browser, I'm just gonna choose a few different options to pare down all of the transportation providers into what I might be looking for specifically. So this time I pick wheelchair accessible in Larimer County. And I search providers. I was anticipating it like doing something, so I sit there for a second, and then I realized I just need to scroll down. So here's all of the wheelchair accessible transportation providers that have some level of service in Larimer County. So there's a lot of options, which is awesome. And then I click on one of the little pluses, specifically for Raft. And then again, it's just showing all of the specific details about that agency. So their website, their phone number, the information about their fares and service hours, and information about scheduling a ride. And then the next thing I'm going to do is on an iPhone, which I wish that this like app didn't have this bar down here because it makes it kind of hard to see. But here at the bottom in Safari, there's a little box with an up arrow, and that's to share. And so I'm going to click on that in the Safari app. And what it does is it pulls up this screen. And what I'm going to do is this thing that says add to home screen. I'm going to click that button. And this is going to be whatever the specific page you're on is. So in this case, because I just did the search option, this is going to be point to specifically the providers that have wheelchair accessible options in Larimer County, because that's what I did. If you want to do just the RideNoCo homepage, do the same thing, but specifically on the RideNoCo homepage. So I'm clicking this add to home screen option. And this is where I can choose what to name this. So I just kept it as providers RideNoCo, but you could change it to wheelchair accessible Larimer RideNoCo or whatever works best for you. And as new providers are added to, if we get a new provider that is wheelchair accessible in Larimer, this will automatically update because it just updates when our website updates, which is also really nice. So I just kept it that, and I clicked save. I'm just going to go back to, I clicked done. And then you can see on my homepage, there's now like a little icon, the same way you might have Facebook or your phone. And you can click on that, which is what I do, and it takes you to that page. So it's a really handy way to, if you are anticipating that you want to regularly look at this, that you can check that out. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and answer any questions y'all might have.
Not a question, but I have a couple of comments. So I love the phone option. I just feel like that is so user friendly, and it meets such a need, because I can imagine, you know, there must be a number of people who find themselves out in the community needing to arrange transportation options or needing to communicate with somebody about a future transportation need that they know they're going to have. And to just be able to pick up your phone and do that on the phone and not need to wait until you're in front of a computer screen. I love that functionality. And I just also really appreciate the accessibility with incorporating the translation to Spanish, and then also the Google Translate feature. I think that helps this kind of tool be able to be utilized by so many more community members. So that's awesome. Oh, and I loved, as you were scrolling through, seeing how many of the transportation options there were, just in general. I mean, I like to think that I keep myself pretty updated on these options in our community, but there were a few on there that I had not been familiar with. There's so many different options here in Larimer County. I was amazed by that piece, and how many of them are donation based, but don't charge a specific fare. That is astounding to me. Do you have a ballpark figure? And it's okay if you don't, but like ballpark, how many of those transportation options don't actually require a fare, but are instead donation based? I mean, I saw there must have been at least 3 or so that I saw when you were scrolling through.
So a lot of our volunteer driver services are only donation based. So that includes Saint Volunteer Transportation, Raft down in Berthoud, as well as 60 Plus Ride of Weld County, which is obviously Weld County, and Via Transportation has suspended fares, and Transport right now, the city bus system here in Fort Collins, is fare free. All of the public transportation providers are really minimal fee. So adults, seniors almost always have a half off discount for public transportation. So I think really Evans Transit for a single ride is 75 cents. If you're over the age of 60, I believe, it might be 65. So a lot of them are pretty minimal cost. I think that the harder thing that we get sometimes is in rural areas, particularly in Larimer County, the only provider is really Z-Trip, and that's a taxi cab, which obviously like that's a fee per mile and for the amount of time. So that can get more expensive, but generally there's been a lot of, in the more urban places, there's several options for really low cost or no cost rides, which is awesome.
I love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
and
and
I
I
would
don't know.
also,
I was just going to ask you if you wanted to add anything, Corey. So right on cue.
I was just going to add that we know that we have a lot of providers on the RideNoCo website, but that's by no means exhaustive. There are senior centers like Wellington that have transportation to residents in town that are not reflected on the RideNoCo website yet, but probably will be in the process of getting added. There's vendors that provide transportation through IntelliRide for Medicaid recipients that may not be a public-facing transportation provider, but could be, that we may not be aware of. If you all, in the work that you do, see that there's a provider that could be missing that you'd like to see added, reach out to NRI, and we can definitely keep adding to this resource library.
And some of the transportation providers are so like client-based or whatever that we don't necessarily have them on the website, because it can be kind of complicated to distill when it applies to somebody. So that's really the benefit. We try to point to the call center throughout the website. So if people are ever like, is this really it? They can call us, and we have that more specific knowledge of additional options for some people. So that's kind of the benefit of having both. And
you had mentioned that call center is open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. And And there's a way to leave a message as well if you're calling outside of those hours and you need someone to get back to you.
Absolutely. And
Great.
we definitely appreciate messages with some details, because then we can do any research we need to before we give that person a call back. And it's Corey and I that are responding to those calls. So any knowledge that we have, we share with that person if it is applicable to them. So we try to point people to the right resources.
And we'd also mention that in addition to the RideNoCo website being able to be translated into over 100 languages, we've also partnered with a company called Language Link for our call center. So we were able to provide real-time over-the-phone translation in over 200 languages for callers into the RideNoCo website. So
that's amazing.
We don't want language to be a barrier to accessing the resources to get where people want and need to go. So.
Oh, we've got a question in the chat about how to access your newsletter, and Hannah, you're on it. It looks like you've already responded saying you'll add a link. That's great. So Hannah's going to add a link for anybody who would like to subscribe to the newsletter. You know, one other thing that you mentioned, Hannah, that I really appreciated was the ability through the website to collect data and information. And I love that, because it really allows you, as you're moving forward and continuing to create solutions, to take into account what you're seeing community members really need. So I have kind of a back end question for you. Is the website then able to collect information on who is clicking on which resource and how often and that kind of thing, so that you're getting a good sense of which areas people are needing rides in and which resources people are kind of utilizing more, or the time of day that people are reaching out to you guys?
I know that Corey has access to Google Analytics. Is that correct? He has access to that. I honestly have not looked at it, so he can answer that question.
Yeah, so we don't get, just because of user privacy, we don't get obviously like identifiable information necessarily, but we do get kind of a list of communities that people are coming from to access the website. We can also see which links are the most clicked on the website. So I believe when I checked a couple weeks ago, you know, other than the main page, clicking older adult transportation providers were the most popular pick. So we are able to get data in that way, and also through our call center tracking where people are calling from, at least even on like a county basis at this point. So yeah, I think one of the greatest opportunities of RideNoCo being housed within the Transportation and Air Quality Planning Agency is that we can just give this data directly over to our planning staff to incorporate that into our long-range planning to make sure that the needs of all users are being accommodated and considered for.
And I think at least where RideNoCo is right now, because it's Corey and I directly talking to folks, it's I think like the thing that disappoints me the most is sometimes we don't have a transportation provider that can meet somebody's needs, but at least because we both really care about mobility outcomes here in Northern Colorado, it really at least sticks with me when somebody can't get a ride, or if they've had a bad experience or something, and we get to work with all of these different partners to hopefully over time make it better. So that's also a good benefit of being in the NFR MPO is we have so many great partners, including PAFC.
I wanted to make a comment with regards to the Google Analytics and data. I manage the LarimerSeniors.org Senior Access Points website, and we track that as well to see what pages people are viewing, and it kind of reflects the issues that are going on in the community. And transportation has been at the very top for many months. So it's really exciting to see. I mean, clearly there's a big need in our community. People are needing more transportation. They're needing more options for transportation. They're needing affordability in transportation, and it's a real issue in our community. So I'm very excited to see the progress. I remember when we did the pilot for the One Click One Call Center a few years ago, and PAFC was involved with that. It's just really exciting to see the progress and to see where you are today and that it's come together. So I thank you. It's great. And I'm very excited to hear about the other progress that you're doing too to develop it. So good going.
Thank you so much for being involved with that for such a long time. I did another presentation for in Weld County, and a similar comment was made, and I really said I feel like we are just like snowballing. Alex, who is very involved doing mobility, it was only half of his time at the NFR-MPO, and then he was able to get 2 full-time people, me and Corey. So I just feel like more staff time means more resources, and hopefully it'll in the long run make a big difference for our region. So we're very appreciative of our partners that like got us where we are so we could hit the ground running.
It's amazing how much you guys have accomplished and just the needs that you're meeting across communities. I hope that you both recognize and pat yourselves on the back, because you're putting the time in to really create solutions. Any other questions for Hannah or Corey? We've got some great links in the chat for everybody to the RideNoCo site, along with the email address that you can use, mobility@nfrmpo.org, and the phone number there. And then we've also got the link if you are interested in signing up for the newsletter. And we do have a couple of people, thank you, Sharon and Cheryl, who have both indicated they would like to get some of the rider's guides in print. I'm jotting that down as well. And then also we did email out to everybody on this invitation link. We emailed the e-version of the Rider's Guide, so everybody should have an e-copy of that as well. And Hannah and Corey, I would imagine that people can feel free to share that e-version freely with friends and family and whoever may need it.
Absolutely. And I'm writing down the emails of folks who requested Rider's Guides. I'll follow up with you the people that requested them this afternoon to see how many you want, when might be a good time to deliver those. We put in an order with FedEx this week, and we'll have a bunch more next week. So happy to get those out to folks. And thanks so much for having us. And I'm happy to answer any questions or anything like that.
I don't have any questions, but I do want to say thank you so much for your partnership. And, on behalf of PAFC, it's always fun to see a project that started and how it continues to grow. And so I appreciate all the work that you guys have done, because I know it's been really challenging, but you guys have done a great job. So we appreciate the partnership.
Thanks, Lori. We feel the same way about you all.
Well, if there are no further questions, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. And I want to let you know, since we were able to record today, we will get this up on the PAFC YouTube page. So if anybody wants to go ahead and rewatch today's Lunch and Learn, you'll be able to. You can also share that with other community members, family and friends. And then we did have a few people who weren't able to make it today, but who were very interested in this topic, who I know are going to appreciate being able to view that video as well. So thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you, Hannah and Corey. We're so happy that you were able to give us all this great information today. Take care, everybody. Be safe and be well. Bye-bye.
Thank you.